welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new around here, my name is Katie, I'm a full-time sketchbook artist, and today I'm going to be taking you along with me on a cruise. So this was a very, very kind gift from my wonderful twin sister as part of our birthday, and first time I've ever been on a cruise, but not the first time I've ever done a travel sketchbook. Now I am planning on doing a lot whilst there. A lot of the time with my travel sketchbooks I take a lot of photos and I do that afterwards. But because it's a cruise, I'm thinking we're going to have a lot more time. It's just a short trip of 3 and a bit days, I think, with 1 day in Bruges. So there's going to be plenty of time for me to draw. I want to really document the cruise experience and hopefully do a lot of drawing whilst I'm on the ship. And probably with Bruges I'll do that when I'm back on the ship and will work from photos, but I'm planning on filling a lot of my pages whilst I'm there. I have done one vlog before when I went to Vienna. That was the other trip that I've documented here on my YouTube channel, which was maybe 2.5 years ago, I think, so quite a long time. And most of the time I don't document these trips, but because this is a short one and I'm very lucky to be going with my sister, I thought it would be a really fun one to share here on YouTube. So I am off tomorrow, which means I really need to pack. I've got a very busy working day, but I want to take some art supplies and decide what I'm taking with me. So let's get on to the packing. I'm going to walk you through the process. You'll see it real time how I decide what I'm going to take, because I don't want to take everything. I do want to be quite minimal on this trip. Well, I've said that now, but I'm definitely not a minimalist person when it comes to art supplies. But let's move over to the desk and do some packing. Okay, let's start with sketchbooks. So this is my current watercolour sketchbook. However, I don't want to take this because I literally have 1 page left. So this is filled up and I want to be able to do more than 1 page. So I don't want to take multiple sketchbooks. So then the next watercolour sketchbook that I wanted to move into was this one, which I want to do a test and a review on. This is the Fabriano Venezia sketchbook. So I was thinking about this one, but it feels really heavy and bulky. I'm really looking forward to trying this paper. It feels really, really nice, but I don't think it's right for the cruise. So this is how I'm kind of deciding what to take. I do have my everyday sketchbook, which is the Royal Talens, but I don't think I'm going to take this one either, although there is plenty of pages left. I'm thinking of taking my watercolours, and I don't think this is the right sketchbook for that. So then I had to look through my box of sketchbooks, which I have of very hopeful sketchbooks that I hope to fill one day. And I discovered this one, which was from this haul here. Now, this is going to make the lighting really weird because it is black, but this is a Seawhite of Brighton sketchbook, and I think this might be perfect because it's a really small size. I think that the paper feels really good. I think it will be great for watercolour. It's nice and thick. I don't love the glossy cover. That really puts me off, so I might cover it with brown paper or patterned paper. I don't know if I'll have time to do that before we go, but I think this will be great. And I'm actually really excited to fill this because I feel like this will be perfect for what I'll have time for. I want to do lots of sketchbooks out and about in terms of being around the cruise ship. I want to be able to do lots of small doodles and things. I kind of have an idea in my head of how this travel sketchbook would look. So that's my plan, and I think this size of page will make it really, really accessible. I'm just going to move that off because it was really throwing out the colours. Oh, I definitely want to take a glue stick and some scissors as well because I do want to stick in ephemera if I get it. And yeah, I don't want to spend ages on my art because I am going with my sister. She's very patient and I'm sure she wouldn't mind, but I do want to do more quick things. So that's my plan for sketchbook. And then for carry case and taking it with me, I'm thinking of using this, which is a pouch that, again, my lovely sister bought me for my birthday, which she brought back from Japan. Usually I use this one, but I think I'll use this one for the trip. And it will also fit in that sketchbook. So this is a Delphonics, I think this is the medium size. And the sketchbook, yeah, that fits really, really nicely. So that'll be perfect. Now, because I don't want to take loads of tubes of paint, I want it to be, as I said, really accessible and quick to do. I don't want to spend hours on my paintings. I just want to do some more like journal style sketches. So that's the plan. So I'm not going to take tubes of gouache. I'm going to be quite minimal with my paints, which is why I want to take my watercolour palette here. Again, this will fit really nicely. I know I could take a smaller one, but I like to have the choice. So I'm really glad I'm into watercolour now because it means that I can still have all of these colours and mix up what I need. So plenty of colours here. I did clean this at the weekend, so I've got some space. I might clean it off more because I don't think I'll use many greens on this trip. And often that does depend on where I'm going. So the way I decide on colours, especially for pencils and when I'm packing gouache and things, I look at where I'm going. So I am thinking this will be really helpful, especially some of these tones and like mixing up some neutrals for the buildings when we are in Bruges, but for the cruise I might need loads of different colours. I'm not sure what that will be like, so I think this will be really handy. So this is definitely going in. I will take a sharpener, so I've got my comb sharpener, which if you saw my birthday haul, that's very handy. I'll put that in there. I've also got a rag, which I use for wiping my brush, so I'm going to take that. That does take up a bit of space. I could swap that out for some kitchen towel, but we'll see how we go. I also want to take a clip. Oh, maybe I'll take a smaller clip actually. Maybe I'll take this little brass clip. I'll clip that on the outside of the bag. Because it's quite a small sketchbook, I think that will be fine. And then paintbrush wise, now I will take my little collapsible pot. So this is really handy for out and about and when I do plein air work. But I'm also thinking, like, this will be good for when I'm in the room, but I'm thinking if I am doing some drawing when we're at an entertainment show on the cruise or doing something else not in our room, I'll need my water brushes. So should I just take those instead of that and some brushes? I think I will take both. So let's take this is a round brush. My most used brush are round brushes. This one's size 10. This is from the Pigeon letters. I also really like these Artway Mop Brushes, which is slightly bigger. So this one's a size 5, but as you can see, still tapered, which I really like. I find that I can do really fine details with the tips of these, but I can also do bigger washes of colour. So I think those two will be good. And then let me grab my pot of water brushes. I think this will be helpful to take with me when I'm not able to use my water pot. I mean, I'll probably carry around a water bottle with me anyway, but then I'll have to carry a pot of dirty water with me. So I want to make this as easy as possible to make it so that I am likely to get my sketchbook stuff out and about. Luckily, I don't have to worry about like water liquid allowance because we are going on the cruise. These ones are my favourites. These ones are all by Derwent, and there are a few different sizes. That one's really small. I think this might be from the same set. I think there's a set of 4, so I'll leave all the things I'm showing linked down below, but you can see here we've got a big one. This is well loved. It's definitely split a little bit. We've got the really big chisel tip, then we've got these smaller pointier ones. I probably don't need both of these. I think I'll just take these 3. So we've got really thick, middle, and then fine. And I think that will be helpful. I might prefer to use the other ones, but I definitely want the option to be able to do this out and about. Even if I just do like my lines first and then I'll come back to the room and add colour. Not sure how I'm going to go yet, but I do like to have the option. So I'll take those 3 and I will make sure that they're filled before I go. Now, the thing with this is everything will be loose, which will make it a little bit harder to get to. Oh, I might put this back here so that's separate. It means the Velcro doesn't do it, but I think that's better. And I might move this all around, but I just want to see how everything fits. Okay, so we've got my paints and my water brushes. Now I could just leave it at that in terms of colour, but I also am really enjoying using my fountain pen recently. We've got the Atramentis Document Ink in black, which I need to fill up with my Sailor Fude de Mannen pen, because I'm thinking of going with black ink. Now I do have my pink one, which is 40 degrees versus the 55 degrees of this one, which looks like this. And this one's got sepia ink, but I'm thinking I'm going to go with black ink this time, just because, I mean, I have been using this a lot, and I really like the way it works, but I think I can picture this sketchbook in black ink. So I'm going to try this out on this trip. Hopefully it'll be okay. So I'm going to take this and fill this up. So that's what I'm going to do with my lines. And also I can do all my writing and my journaling if I add any like labels and things as well. I'm not taking this ink. I'm just going to fill up my converter with it, and that will be fine for the few days that we're away. So that's my plan with line work, and now let's pick some coloured pencils. Now, as I said, we don't need to have these because I do have my watercolours, but I really like using this for texture and details. Now, there's definitely going to be some trees and things in Bruges, so I do want to take, let's see, I've got my big pencils here and my smaller pencils here. I'm just gravitating towards my Luminance, but I'll also take my new Holbeins, which again was in that haul. These might be good for the water, actually. So we've got the Willow Green, Opal Green, Sky Mist and Smoke Blue. You could swatch these, that's always recommended, but I tend to just go by feel because sometimes I don't use all of these anyway, but I like to have the choice. So colour-wise, I'll take my favourite dark Thalocene green, the moss green and olive yellow. I also love the light cobalt blue 661. Okay, and then buildings in Bruges, there's a lot of browns, oranges, reds, so I definitely think I'll take the terracotta. So I'm kind of looking at pictures of Bruges and working out that way. I think our red might be helpful. There's a few red buildings I can see. So permanent red. This one's raw sienna. I think that will be helpful. Brown ochre 10%. Warm earth 40%. I've got a really nice brown in Derwent drawing, which is the sepia red. So I'll take that one. And maybe even my chocolate. Chocolate, I'll take that as a darker brown. So I kind of try and do light, mid and dark tones for my pencils. Doesn't always work out like that, and sometimes I get carried away. We'll take this middle verdigris. That's kind of similar. Actually, I won't. It's a bit more blue toned than these Holbein, but I'm trying not to overpack. I literally just said I'll be minimal, and I've already got all of this. Let's see. Smoke blue Derwent drawing. I want to take that as well. I'm thinking of looking out the window and the sea because we do have a lovely balcony. Dark indigo always. That's like my dark tone that I use for a lot of things. And then maybe some greys for some of the rooftops. Steel grey by Luminance. I think that one will be useful. This one is a French grey. I do really like ultramarine as well. And then there's this nice blue too. Genuine cobalt blue. Let's see if this is enough. I might put this one in as a little wild card. Okay, I know I am an overpacker. I hold my hand up to it, but I'm okay with it because I'm the one carrying all my stuff. And I'm happy to carry more stuff. So let's stick with this. Oh, this one's nice. Okay, I've just looked over. There's some really nice tones in the Derwent drawing. I've got the yellow ochre. I think that will be really nice as my mid yellow. So again, I've got a light, mid and dark. And then a Chinese white. Okay, now onto my Neocolors. So again, I don't necessarily need these. I might not use them, but I do like having the option. Okay, I'm not taking everything. So to me, like, this is fine. This is fine. So there we go. This is what I'm thinking in terms of pencils. No, I probably won't use them all, but yes, I do like having the option. So I'm happy with this. I feel like this is minimal-ish for me when you consider how many art supplies I've got. I'm going to stop looking around. Oh, there's a really nice grey there. Warm grey. I did say about different greys. Let's add this guy in. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm pretty sure that's everything. I will take my little glue stick, a really little travel one, and a little tiny travel set of scissors. So again, just in case I have ephemera and things that I want to put in, I want to make sure I've got those. So I can add those here. So let's add this in. But that's everything, and I think that fits really nicely. I need to cut off the tag. But there we go. There is my little pouch of art supplies ready for the cruise. Next up, let's go to Bruges, and I'll show you all the art. I probably won't talk when I'm there. I'll probably do a voiceover, but I will film as many clips as I can. And yeah, I'm really excited to take you along with me. So just before we do get onto the ship, I did just want to show you that I covered the sketchbook. So I just used a piece of decorative paper from an old Flow magazine, which I love for using with collage, and yeah, just wrapped it around the front. It worked really, really nicely. I kept it nice and neat and also allowed for this flap at the back, so this little pocket to still be accessible. I'm really proud of this bit where I've cut a line through so the elastic still works. It fits nicely back in the pouch and I just love it much more than the shiny black it was before. Okay, so here we go. We got on the Queen Mary 2. This is a Cunard ship, and here is the very grand atrium. This is a place where we boarded. This is like the main area, and it was pretty busy a few times, but really, really grand. Really didn't feel like we were on a ship. and you'll see this in my sketchbook later because I do attempt to draw it. Here is our sheltered balcony. We're still in Southampton at this point. I think we were just about leaving in the evening. There was a few delays, but gorgeous seeing the sun like that over the water. Then it was on to dinner, which was absolutely delicious, and of course pudding as well, which again you'll see me document in my sketchbook. And we did a show, which was the Lavelles, which was a Motown show, so I also document that in my sketchbook. So I just wanted to show you a few clips which were my references and then drawing it later. Here we are the next morning, so this was our sea day. Here I am in the whirlpool making the most of it. We got up quite early, so it was really empty on the deck, but it meant that we could have it all to ourselves, which was perfect. And yeah, just so lovely seeing the open sea. Here was my view at breakfast whilst Laura went to get hers, and then we explored the ship. I had no idea there was a library here, and so I thought I'd take a few clips because I was completely oblivious. But there were so many bookcases. Really, really cool to see it like that. Very, very fancy with all the lights, and there was some seats at the very end which were taken of people reading there. There were also some computers, but yeah, I was just really impressed by this. Loads of different sections, plenty of mystery books as well. And then before we docked in Blankenberge a little bit later, we did enjoy the sunshine on the deck. So we were just on the sun lounges, and this is where I did a big bulk of my art. So I did quite a lot of the line work for the breakfast and the food that you saw, and also the atrium, which you will see me finish off later. But I also did this piece whilst I was sat on the lounger with this gorgeous view of the open ocean. So I used my fountain pen for the lines, and then I just used my water brushes here for my watercolour. And it worked out great. I really liked having my colours here to hand and then just filling on top. The Atramentis ink worked beautifully in my Sailor Fude de Mannen, so I really recommend that. Just as good as the sepia one, and I didn't have any issues with blockages. It dried super fast in my sketchbook as well, so I highly recommend. As I said before, I will leave links to my materials down below. Big thank you to Laura for filming all these lovely different angles and things for me. This was the only time where I sort of used the view in front of me. As I said, I did do a lot of artwork out here, but I was using my phone as a reference. This was the only one where I could actually draw the view in front of me, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Here I am adding on some of the coloured pencils and things once my watercolour layer had gone down, just to try and enhance some of the colours and to add a bit more texture onto the page. And here's the final result. So you can see I did add a little line of journaling at the bottom. And yeah, really, really fun to experience this and to be able to paint whilst there. Definitely feels really, really special to be able to do this and to just have that gorgeous view right in front of me. And I'm really glad I had the opportunity to do this. So this is the same time. This is me drawing our late lunch and dinner, which was part of the dinner that you saw earlier. But I just wanted to add that on here. And I also added on quite a lot of journaling, so just being quite playful, which I'll talk a little bit about later, just trying to vary the orientation of my work. So here's that grand atrium with some of my journaling there and a touch of collage. I left a blank page there because I wanted this to be a full page spread, and then the one that I just did there. So this is where I'm at with the sketchbook so far, and then I did colour that in as well. So the sea day was really helpful for me to have time to be able to draw, because obviously when we're on land and when we could get off the boat, we were trying to make the most of it there, and you'll see some of that later on. So I was using my photos as reference here, just filling in. Obviously it really helped having the line work to start with, and then I'm adding my swatches up here on the right just to fill in a little bit of that blank space. Now you will see that sadly I smudged this completely, so it looks perfect here, but here is where I just smudged my hand over it and it was still wet. So a bit of a disaster there, but luckily it didn't go on any other area of the page. And here we are in Blankenberge, so we decided to use the first evening just to explore this lovely coastal town. Lots of really nice buildings. It was pretty busy, there were a lot of shops, but nice to walk around, and then they had this huge seafront, and then there's a pier at the end as well. But it was nice and chilled. The sunshine did come out for us, which was really nice because it wasn't supposed to. There's Majut's house, which you'll see in my sketchbook later. Loads of glorious flowers. Really lovely to see so many flowers in their beds and also hanging baskets and things. And then just walking alongside the beach, which was huge, really, really lovely sandy beach and loads of stuff to do for children. Here I've zoomed in on our ship, so we're right over there on the port, and the cruise did do a shuttle for us, so that was really helpful. Then we went back on board, we had some dinner, and then I did some more drawing, and I decided to fill in that space next to the earlier drawing I did with a drawing of our room. So this isn't something that I do often. I very rarely draw sort of interiors, but I really enjoyed this. I'm really glad I drew it. I'm really pleased with how I got with the angles and stuff. I did have a few pencil lines down first, which helped, but I'm really happy with this spread. I'm glad I included it because obviously the room is a big part of the cruise, and yeah, I did mess up a little bit with the colours on the bed with the lines, with the stripes, but that doesn't matter. It really is okay that it's not perfect. I just wanted to document the room itself, and yeah, there was a lot of beige, and so I'm glad that there were touches of blue, but I still think it turned out really nicely, and I think having that line work down really helped. Then I coloured in the atrium spread, so as you saw earlier it was just line work, so I took this chance to fill it in with colour, and then later on I will add on the journaling too. But here's how this spread is looking, and the drawing of our room as well. But next up we are in Bruges. So this was the following day. We took the shuttle into Blankenberge and then got on the train. We walked through the park and then onto Lovers Bridge, I think that's what it's called. So many beautiful flowers as you can see here, and because Laura and I sort of left the crowd of people from the ship who were walking in through the other way, I'm really, really glad we went this way because it was really quiet and we could take our time, take lots of photos and start to just slowly walk our way into Bruges without the crowds. There's my lovely sister Laura, and yeah, we're just walking into Bruges here. So gorgeous, so many lovely rivers, as you can see, more flowers here, which just really added a lovely colour into all of our photos and video clips. Here's that very famous corner of Bruges, which I'm sure you've seen before if you've looked it up. And I was just enamoured by this town. I really loved all of the architecture. It was absolutely gorgeous. This was in the town square, and then yeah, we just kind of kept wandering, finding all these gorgeous houses that were along the river. It was getting quite warm, and we had to be back on the ship around 3ish, so we were trying to make the most of it. Obviously went into a lot of the chocolate shops, and we did buy some chocolate here as well. We also got some waffles with loads of melted chocolate and strawberries on, which I didn't video, but that was definitely a must do in Bruges. And we bought some little boxes of chocolates as well for friends and family. So as we walked back to the train station, we went through the park again along the river, and then yeah, we caught the train back to the ship. I did do some drawing on the train as well. It was very short, but when we got on it the first time, there was a bit of a wait because it was the first stop. And so I did manage to draw the Motown, which you can kind of see on the left whilst on the train, so that was nice. And then we had a little bit of time before heading to dinner. So again, I just added on some more drawing into my sketchbook. It worked really, really nicely, just being able to do the line work, just to have something to start, and then finishing it off later with my watercolours. Another gorgeous evening with beautiful blue skies as we set sail back to Southampton, and we're coming to the end of the cruise portion of this vlog, so I'll leave you with these and then I can show you what I created in my sketchbook. Okay, so I'm back home now. Had an amazing time with my sister, as you'll have seen from all the clips, and it's time to show you what I created. So obviously you'll have seen some of the process. I didn't film everything. My wonderful sister was very, very patient and also filmed some for me, so thank you so much, Laura. I'm really excited to share this with you. Now obviously I said I've just been editing the first part of this video, and I said that I'd have loads of time on the ship and I was hoping to do loads, and I definitely did more than I would normally, which was brilliant, but I definitely didn't have as much time as I thought. It was very jam-packed, there was loads to do, and I didn't feel like I wanted to just spend all my time drawing. I wanted to do other stuff too. So I did fill quite a few spreads, not a huge amount, but there's still plenty that I can add on from my photos. But let me show you where we started. So I'm going to do a title page here, probably with maybe this postcard here just of the ship, or maybe I'll draw that myself. But the first page that I did was this one. So you'll have seen from the clips, it was very grand on board. It really didn't feel like a ship at all. It was more like a hotel. My first time on a cruise ship, so all very new to me. But they had this grand atrium, which I did take some clips of. It was really tricky to draw. There's lots and lots of details here. I will also show some close-ups on screen. I really wanted to try and capture that here. I did really keep it quite simple, and you can see I didn't love the floor. I found that really tricky, especially with like the lines going in, but I did my own sort of version and I do think that worked quite nicely. So throughout this you'll see that I do follow this set style, and I did make it journal style, so there's quite a lot of personal journaling and a little bit of typography, and then a little bit of collage as well depending on what I had. I have kept this in chronological order. So this is where we boarded, and then I wanted to do our room, and I've tried to keep it in order of the activities that we did. I think they call them suites. I've put room here. We were on deck 6 and our big bag was already there. We just needed to dump a few of our bits and freshen up. And so I don't often draw things like this, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm pretty pleased with my angles as well. So I did do both of these on the ship. And then I also did this one. This was drawn whilst I was on a sun lounger. And yeah, I didn't get a huge amount of footage for this one as it was a little bit tricky there. But I like this playful journaling along here, so this text here. And just changing the orientation of the text I think works really nicely. So this was documenting our food on that first day. Definitely overindulged, definitely feeling it now. You'll see here, and you'll have seen in the clips, like I mentioned in the voiceover, I sadly smudged it. Luckily it didn't affect anything else, just up here, which just happens sometimes when you're plein air and these things do happen. So I'm okay with it. It's annoying, but it's fine. Now, I will talk about what I used as well. So I mostly used my watercolours and my fountain pen, and I didn't really do or use much else. So I'm pretty sure in all of these ones so far, I did add a little bit of pencil here, but I didn't do it anywhere else. It's all watercolour. And then the next one I did a bit. But yeah, I really didn't need all of those pencils or all those Neocolors. I did use it sometimes with texture, but I really would have been totally fine with my watercolour palette and my ink pen. And that's just because of the style that I went for this trip. Usually I don't use line work as heavily, but I'm really glad I did here. The pen was great for adding my journaling, and the watercolours I had all the colours I needed to mix. So it worked out really, really nicely actually, and I would have been fine with just that. But I think also because of the texture of this paper, there's a little bit of a tooth, and so I did struggle getting some refined details with my pencils. So that's why I'm glad I had my pen, because that went over super smoothly and I could get really clean lines. So we went to the Motown show. Again, I did take a clip of that. Very different subjects than what I normally, and a lot of perspective as well. There's a lot of food, which again, you don't see me draw that often, but I did enjoy doing it for our food month earlier this year on Patreon. But yeah, this was very different for me. It was hard to capture the light, but I'm still pleased with it. I really like the vibes, and it does remind me of the time there, so I feel like I've captured it well. Did add a few more swatches around just to fill gaps. There's a bit of a gap here, but I'm okay with that. And then yeah, just being quite playful with my layout, putting my text in between, having larger titles, doing this one of me in the whirlpool, just kind of like a little photo. I think that's really fun, and just fitting things in wherever. This one I did plein air on the deck. This one was the one that I got the most footage for, and that was really, really lovely. Like, obviously I've never drawn in a place like that before. It was very calming, just watching the sea. I really like that I added on like the detail of the 9 and having this railing in front. Even though it does obstruct the view, it clearly was taken from a ship, and I'm really happy that I did this on location. I really like the movement of the sea. This is where I added on some pencils and Neocolors on top. And I said at the time to my sister that I wish I hadn't. I think I preferred it before. But actually looking at it now, I think it does add a little bit more, especially the this one, which is the Chrysoprase Green. This is the special edition one. I used this just a little bit down here. And yeah, I really like how this turned out. Really happy that it was done on location. I really like the style of it. And just added that down there. I wasn't worried at all of all the people around me. I was totally fine just in my own little world doing this and having my sister next to me. I think she was reading her Kindle whilst I was painting. Now, I'm pretty sure this was the last one that I did on the ship, because I did go back and did the line work first, and for this one I did the line work whilst we were on the train going into Blankenberge, and then I coloured it later on in the ship, so they weren't all done in order in terms of finishing them, but these next 3 spreads were done back at home from photos. Mostly because I wanted to continue and keep going with this and have a bit more to show you, but I also have plenty more to fill in with this sketchbook. We did do an afternoon tea, so again, more food drawing here. Really like this, I like the layout. It didn't all come together, so it was like separate courses almost, rather than the afternoon tea that I think of where it comes on a tiered sort of cake stand thing. So I just used my photos and merged it all together here, which I think worked nicely. Again, just using my watercolour and my ink pen, and that worked really nicely. Then I merged a couple of things here. So this isn't accurate to Blankenberge, but it did have this writing here. So like the big signs, I wanted to include that. I'm not great with this typography, so it struggled. It's not perfect, but it's fine. And then the buildings behind are there, but this big church and the tree wasn't there. So the scale is totally off and it kind of looks like it would be there, but it's giant and I didn't really plan that very well. But it captures the vibe of Blankenberge, I think, and I did use my photos for that. And I really like the stylization of the blue sky behind. Okay, then this is probably my least favourite spread. I think I prefer it when there's a bit more white space, but I do like that I added the collage in of the map. So this is of Blankenberge. Then we've got Majut's house here, which I wanted to include, and kind of again merged it in with another reference, which was the beach. It is a beachfront town, so that was really important for me to include, and I wanted to include that there. Squeezed in my journaling there. I think I might write here, but as like a title there. I don't know, because it's quite a busy spread, but yeah. Oh, I did use a pencil just to fill in that bit there, but otherwise it's all watercolour and pen. And then this one, which is the last one that I've got to show you, which was documenting our little day trip to Bruges. I have so many photos that I took in Bruges. As you saw from the video clips, it's absolutely stunning. So many gorgeous buildings and beautiful places. So many gorgeous, vibrant and colourful flowers as well, like Lover's Bridge, and yeah, just so much to draw, and the rivers and things. And that will definitely keep me busy to fill a few more pages in here. I have been quite pared down with what I have drawn, so I took so many photos and I haven't drawn every single memory in here, but it's enough for me to remember the trip. I don't need to document everything, but I do really like this page. I like that I've put in our tickets, used a little bit of washi tape there. It was really helpful as well having that glue stick with me. I used that for this little bit here, and I did also use the scissors, so I'm glad I took those, although obviously this was done afterwards. Again, little title, I really like this one of the park that we walked through, and I like the light here, and then a building over here. And yeah, I just think it's really playful. I'm really happy with this style and documenting it in this way. Usually I don't rely so heavily on line work, so it is a little bit different, but I find this very easy and I don't have to worry too much about what I'm doing. And I think that works really well, especially when I'm doing other subjects that I don't normally. And so it is a bit more detailed than I would normally go, and it's a bit less loose, which I know I think a lot of people see my style as, so this is probably a bit different, but I really like it. I'm okay with changing up my style and just playing around, and yeah, I like changing things up depending on what I need it for, and I think this style works beautifully for a travel sketchbook. So as I said, I've got plenty more pictures to add into here. I don't think I'm going to fill all of this sketchbook, but I do have another trip coming up in September. I mean, that's a week, so I don't know that this will even be enough. But we'll see how we go. I think it would be nice to have that in here as well. Again, I'm not going to do all of my Bruges photos in here, but I will just pick my favourites and finish documenting the trip in the sketchbook. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing it. As I said, I will put some details on screen so you can see little bits of close-ups, but I hope you enjoyed watching the process. As I said, a huge thank you to my sister for helping me film and for treating me to this amazing birthday gift. It was an absolutely wonderful time. I really loved it. Definitely want to do a cruise again. And yeah, really nice that I could still do my art and also relax. You might hear in my voice I did relax a little too much and caught a cold, but there we go. I guess that's what happens when you go on holiday. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. It is quite a long one. I wasn't expecting it to be, but there was so much I wanted to include, and I didn't want it to be multiple videos. But a big thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments, what you think of my journal, and if you've ever been to Bruges before. A huge thank you to my patrons for their support. Without them, I wouldn't be able to make these 3 videos here on YouTube. And a big thank you for watching. I will see you next Sunday in my new YouTube video. See you later.